Just in case you say something really wise, I want to make sure I have it recorded. So today, how are you doing, Jesse?
Oh, good. I've been rather busy all day and had to skip my jacuzzi for this. Hey,
Oh,
life is rough, I'll tell you.
yeah,
And
the
then I just got,
sacrifices we make.
yeah,
Yes.
I just got a business call and I told the guy, I texted him back, I'll talk to you later tomorrow. Anyways, it's all good.
So, welcome to Virtual Union Hall. This is a weekly discussion group. Our focus is supporting and building the American Union to pass the blueprint for a better America. Your attendance is appreciated. Thanks for choosing to be part of this moral movement to put an end to poverty, injustice, and materialism and redirect the establishment narrative and set the United States back on a road of generosity and compassion. I'm TC, your host and facilitator. Brian is our qualified witness, and Jesse is our honored guest. This is the Wednesday American Union Home on Zoom, a place to meet and get to know other union members and ask questions and get information. We encourage respectful, open-minded, nonviolent communication. Thanks for attending. Let's begin. So for the introductions, just your name, your place, and how you're feeling today, just to get in the room. And I'll start. My name's TC, and I'm happy to be here. I've got a much more relaxed attitude about all of this now, and my passion now is about learning to be more uh, compassionate towards people that are learning that they've been hoodooed and fooled. So, Ryan.
My name is Brian. I'm based in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And yeah, I'm feeling good today. A productive day. Got a couple of newsletters out. Got some things done. And yeah, happy to be here.
Jesse.
I'm still Jesse and I'm happy to be here and look forward to the conversation and been finding out some interesting things myself.
All right. We'll be interested to hear about that. Nissan.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
We're just checking in, just saying hi, and how you feeling?
Uh, been a bit mentally drained lately. A lot of stuff going on.
Right on. So today I thought we could just do questions or suggestions for a topic about the blueprint for a better America. And this turbulence that we've been experiencing and how that's being revealed, but that doesn't have anything to do with the blueprint. So does anybody have anything that would have to do with the establishing justice, providing for the tranquility, defending ourselves and our prosperity?
Yeah. Well, so you guys know, we went through the public hearings on the blueprint back in the first quarter of the year and went through things. So there's some amendments being drafted on up. And one of the other proposed changes is a result of the recent Supreme Court ruling, the Shin versus Ramirez case, that said that even if you have evidence that says you're innocent, if it doesn't fall into this narrow category, you're not allowed to present this evidence, even if you're on death row, and that the process is more important than justice. And so the Supreme Court decision is based on a narrow, very literal reading of what the law actually is. And so, you know, in the legislature, there's deadlines and things for when you can introduce new bills and stuff like that. And there's a general exception for things that couldn't have been known at the time of when you were introducing stuff. And so, so anyways, so I have a proposed amendment that would fix this Supreme Court ruling by adding another option in the law, so that if you got screwed over with a bad lawyer repeatedly, that would be a good enough reason to offer new evidence showing that you were innocent of the crime that you've been convicted for.
Thank you, Brian. Nissan has his hand raised. Nissan?
Yeah, well, I still have many questions for, the blueprint. I'm not gonna get into them today. I get that. Then let me just offer some suggestions instead, because I have very few of those in comparison. One is I think it would be the most prudent. Okay, I think it's still a good idea, is to put in the blueprint to have to get the president's signature, is to get a signature, have the president sign an order to declare war on climate change. So I feel like that would be the most prudent, effective way of using our military budget, into solving an actual crisis. As there's precedent that saying that the president could declare war on practically whatever he wants, I see this not being much of an issue. Especially if the military industrial complex is going to get their money anyway, we're just changing what we're paying them to do. Instead of paying him to build bombs, we're paying him to build desalination plants or CO2 scrubbers or air filters or whatever the crap. They still get paid, so no harm there. We just get what we want.
Thanks, Nissan. I think everybody would agree with you about the in this room anyway, about the environment's more important than the military. However, I think Brian makes a real point that we're not all in this room, the people that are going to be looking at this blueprint, and a lot of them are going to push back hard on.
Well, I would like to hear what objections anybody would have on declaring war on climate. If we could declare war on drugs, declare war on terrorism, what would be their objection to declaring war on climate change, something that actually does threaten the survival of the human race?
I guess my question is, what does that actually mean? Like, what is the specific policies that you're proposing? Like, you'll notice,
It is a policy.
that there weren't like
Declaration of war is a
study things
policy.
like that. It's very specific policy things. And so
No, but I'm saying a declaration of war is in itself a policy.
Pretty broad.
It's a broad, yeah, of course it's a broad thing, but that in itself is a policy. I mean, that way you could, again, leverage the entire budget of the US military into dealing with, and solving the issue. So they would have to commission a committee to figure out how to combat the situation. And then from there, they'll spend the money on the tools necessary to accomplish said situation. It has to be broad because nobody has a clear answer.
But that's half the reason that we're in this mess that we have with Congress and everything, right? Is that can't people running for office make these broad pitches? Like they're going to do these amazing things, and then they get to Congress and it's trying to work out the details, and it never happens. And so if we're going to turn the model around and work out the details first, we need to know what those details are instead of just the vague declare war on climate change.
Well, that's the thing. You can't do any specifics in war, though. That's the one topic that they never do. They never declare any specifics when it comes to war.
Chiwa and I looked at this idea of using just take the military and shift it 10% a year from military focus to environmental focus, and continue to have all the bases and all that stuff intact. It's just 10% a year is focused on the environment instead of the military. But
okay, well, 3 problems with that.
we never went very far with that. And
Yeah, there's three fundamental problems with that.
oh,
Yeah. First, why would you take only 10% for this problem that when you can use the full budget? Second, you're taking away money away from military complex. They're not going to let you do that. Even if it's 10%, they won't give up a dime.
right. Well, that's why 10% is more doable.
No, 10% is just absolutely out the question. Because if you give, if 10% is being, wait, like a trillion, like it's $800 billion. So 10% is $80 million. That's $80 million going out, going away from the contractors. They're not gonna let you go walk away with $80 million.
We were going to allow the contractors to continue to contract to build infrastructure for the green future. So they wouldn't be put out of business. They would just shift their business venture from building tanks to building windmills or something, you know.
Yeah, but then you're asking them to open up a new market.
So
That wouldn't be worth their time.
Jesse, you want to say anything about any of this?
Well, recently the military is saying that their number one thing is now climate change because they're losing a lot of equipment. It showed pictures of like tanks somewhere, airplanes where, we have like 1 million bases all around the world. And some of those places are, coming underwater, different, types of things. So they're, at least the fact that they're actually saying that, even though they probably are going to bomb the hell out of the same people in those areas. But it's, that I was surprised to hear that because we've talked about that before, Thomas and I.
Thanks, Jesse. Brian, I'd like to hear again the wisdom of your choosing to do just a 10% cut in the military and not put much emphasis on other than the carbon tax and the fact that cutting the military 10% is a big cut in greenhouse effect. Is there any other thing that you have to?
As in, we talked before, you, me and Chiwa, about the difference between trying to redirect that 10% and just cutting it directly.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, how do you feel about when Nissan says let's flip it and get more people on board? Let's go from military to the war on the environment.
I guess I'm still not clear exactly what that means.
Okay.
I agree because for one thing, we're involved in a big war, and I don't know if you heard this today or yesterday, but they just put a PSA together showing people what to do in New York for a nuclear attack. So, and we've seen this throughout history where these types of things have come up, and it's part of a fear tactic, or is it? You know what I mean? It's I've only noticed that New York did this, the state apparently. And, we're not that far from Russia here if you come over Alaska, things like that.
Mhm.
But the whole idea is it sounds like a whole new campaign to make it look like the military's got to be getting into these wars more and protecting us more and building more BS. So
That's their
it's
tendency to do that. You're
yeah,
correct,
it's
Jesse.
quite a dilemma because our country is a war nation, and it didn't start yesterday. It started, with the Spanish American War. Before that, it's always been, the white man against the Indian from the very beginning type of thing. And Indians are still not getting respect. But as far as the military, I don't think you can really trust them. But at the same time, we have to, push on it to get them to do more of the right thing. And if, they say that climate change is their biggest problem. Well, all the bombs and all the stuff that we're sending around the world is one of the biggest problems with our pollution.
Brian, you got your hand up.
Yeah, I wanted to chime in agreement with what Jesse was saying about America being a war, nation, and going back even to before we were a country in the King Philip's War, fighting against the Indians in the 1670s, and all the way up to through the Revolutionary War and through the Civil War. We were the only country on this planet that had to fight a war to abolish slavery. Everybody else did it through the parliamentary process, passing laws, and we had to fight a war over it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a part of our heritage, and we could recognize it, but we don't have to continue to fall down that same path, right? We've fallen into that hole enough times. We can walk down a different street.
Go down a different street, yeah. Nissan, it's your turn again. You want to add more to this?
But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of part of our culture does need a shift, and that's probably gonna take a while because we're so entrenched in it. So yeah, that's something that is gonna be very difficult, and it's gonna have to take time. However, it's gonna need to be done.
Right.
So we got to start doing that work now. A lot of this stuff is not just about laws; it's about mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something we have to tackle, because nothing we add, no rule or law or idea we add is gonna change anything if people don't participate and understand what they're doing. It's just it's all a moot point. I see that happening now because people are struggling and trying to figure out how to do things differently. But as far as I've seen, no matter how much time you spend discussing, illustrating, and demonstrating, a thing, you can't be in it. You can't understand it until you're in it. You have to be knee deep in it. This happened a couple of times with me when I learned new systems like sociocracy and the like. It takes time. It's not easy. It's a process.
Right on. I'm wondering if I have a thought on this. Talking about shifting the minds, that's where I started in all this work, was in getting this deliberative dialogue to get people more open-minded and more open to each other. And it's just, it's real clear that when I see how some people are so, their mind is so controlled by outside forces, that how to get them to start to look inside where the change really takes place is, it's, they're very far removed from their truth. And I know that when I was an addict and I was invited to change, I looked at it and I said, well, I might just choose to die, because it was like change or die, and changing looked so scary. But luckily I made the right choice. And and then what I found out is, what I hope all these people find out, is once you give up what you're hanging on to, you find out there's a whole lot more for you to get into when you let go of the what's holding you back. All right, there's my 2 cents. Let's see, where are we now? Either Brian or Jesse can go.
Well, I would say one thing as far as the military, it's our country is addicted to war, but it's not because we want it. It's because of the people that are making fortunes off of it.
Yeah.
as I've discussed with Thomas before, you go all the way back to Samuel Bush, who ran two companies for the Rockefellers and the Harrimans, richest Republicans, richest Democrats. And he sold every handgun and rifle, handgun, and bullet to the United States Army for World War One. And, you know, this problem is so deep, and the profiteering of war didn't start with our country. It's been going on forever. But how can we separate ourselves from these people that have already planned out the chessboard of how to block us at every step? And one of that is, I think everybody agrees on, we need to get money out of politics. And, you know, and unfortunately, we have people coming back from the military. Well, they're not necessarily bad guys, but they're somewhat indoctrinated and many times brainwashed. And now, who are they hiring for teachers and things like this? They're not just going to the police anymore. I know at the high school where my kids went out here, you know, it's very gung ho. You know, it used to be the whatever it was in school where they dressed up, the what you call it, you know, where they wear the, you know, uniforms, you know, at school and stuff like that. And that's just the same type of thing. They're doing the same thing today and trying to make the Army look appealing like a video game. And, you know, that's another one of these kinds of influences that is hitting some of our children where they think that that's great. You know what I mean? There's nothing great about it. And, you know, the military does need to be dwindled down to at least what they're doing, half of their budget for a starter, and more of the money that is still there. It's like, oh, what do you guys want to quit because you don't have the money? No, they're still making their payoffs. They can still run the company, and you know, which is ridiculous. And like you said about your own father, he was in the Army and he was a colonel or something, Thomas?
Oh, he was a major.
Major. And you know, the generals are flying around, and this goes way back to after World War II, flying around in private planes and going golfing in Japan. You know, that type of mentality is something normal people don't think about or even realize is happening. And so, you know, there's so much fat that can be cut from the military. And of course, I think you all know that Rumsfeld came out and said our biggest threat right before 9/11, our biggest threat is we're missing $3 billion. Yeah.
All right. Nissan's got his hand up and been very patient. Thank you, Nissan.
Yeah, I like that analogy of them about the chessboard. Yeah, they basically set up the chess pieces and, you know, are playing their own little game here. And the only way we're going to stop that is we have to, for lack of a better sake, we have to flip the chessboard.
Mm-hmm.
That's,
yeah, I agree.
so,
yeah.
I mean, I mean, we're already seeing this happen in other parts of the world right now. Like, look what happened with Sri Lanka.
Yes.
So, until we get like a constant message that is repeated to the people that they will go to, you know, that's probably the only thing we get to do to get them to like wipe the slate clean, because that's what we're gonna need. We're gonna need, and we would have needed to dismantle the enforcement mechanisms of the system, and once those things collapse, you know, then we could then clean out the entire system, because then the system will have no power to enforce it well anymore.
Thank you.
Those would be the target. So targets of opportunity would be places in the military, certain secured areas, certain parts of the infrastructure. And mind you, the right is already doing this.
The right is what?
There are groups on the right that are already doing this.
The people on the right are very dangerous. I finally see it now. You've been talking about it ever since you I've known you, that they're dangerous people and we need to be aware of them and conscious. And I'm gonna kind of wrap this up, and I feel like we need to be talking more about the blueprint itself, or that Brian did have an amendment that he brought up earlier that is there any more discussion on getting the
Well,
military?
here's a question. How will this amendment prevent the Supreme Court from just knocking it down?
I don't understand the question.
Like if for say we got got that amendment in the blueprint gets passed, what is the mechanism stopping the Supreme Court from just knocking it down?
I don't know if you read the Supreme Court decision in that case, but basically they said that US law, I forget, I'll have to find the section exactly. There's two instances where you're allowed to introduce new evidence, and ineffective counsel was not one of those reasons, so that they found that there was no constitutional right to be able to introduce evidence later. And so while there isn't a constitutional right, there can still be a civil right through passage of laws that say you're allowed to introduce new evidence in these cases, and expanding that list. There's no basis for saying that Congress isn't allowed to do that. So I'm not sure I don't understand the question of how the Supreme Court could strike it down.
Constitutional law, and whatever the interpretation of the constitutional law is. So if you propose a civil law to change that, I mean, wouldn't the Supreme Court just knock it down in place of their warning for constitutional law?
I don't think that's correct.
What I heard Nissan asking originally was the whole blueprint. Could the Supreme Court knock that down, the whole blueprint, or would they have to take it section by section?
Yeah, there's a standard
No,
several.
I was asking specifically at that section. There are some parts in the blueprint I do think they could make a case that's unconstitutional,
That's
which
true.
is why we need to, which is why constitutional amendment is needed, because you have to change the actual constitution. But
Amending the Constitution isn't a realistic proposal at this point. It's been more than 50 years since any.
I'm not saying it's realistic. I'm just saying that in order to get past the Supreme Court, you would have to do a constitutional amendment.
Depends on what you wanted to do. But
Yeah, I'm just saying there's some things in the blueprint, I think they'll try striking it down because there's different interpretation you can use to declare the thing you're doing is unconstitutional. So
do you have an example?
I had a couple, but I don't have it in front of me today, though.
Yeah.
Look that back up.
And so one of them might be universal suffrage, that the federal government could say, look, every American gets to vote in federal elections, and states can't discriminate against some people and say they're not allowed to participate in federal elections. And so the Supreme Court could conceivably go either direction on that.
Yeah, they could go like states' rights thing. It's like,
Right, as whether federal elections are a states' rights issue or a citizenship thing. So that's one of them. I acknowledge that one, but
there was a couple more. I think there was at least 3 more, but again, we won't know if they'll try it unless we try it ourselves. So
a minute ago, there was something about it would be unrealistic. I can't remember what you were talking about, but I mean, it's like at this stage of the game, I think any wanting to affect Congress short of having a massive movement is kind of a reach. So we're all creating the world that we want in our hearts and minds, and hoping that we can come together sometime in the future and create that for ourselves. So Jesse, we haven't heard from you for a minute.
I've been listening and learning. Well, let's talk about Julian Assange for a second. He exposed the truth about our military. And he was a journalist, I mean, plain and simple. And somehow, I think said this before, but somehow they only protect whistleblowers that they want to hear from. And they still want to crucify him. He just won his right to go to another country. And then the United States they said we couldn't, but now they're appealing that decision. So they still want to bring him here. But what we need is more people like Julian Assange. We need, people that actually, with all the technology today, there's a lot of smart people out there. And there's a lot of really good journalists that nobody usually hears from. And, but if you look at that scenario, we need something that makes a splash to get something done. And whether it's a whistleblower, or we could just go sit around praying for somebody, or can we gather a compelling argument?
Well, so far the stuff I've already seen them do publicly, I'm surprised has not caused a why yet. They openly admitted that they have absolutely no accountability mechanisms in our system at all to prevent a foreign actor or a malicious actor from taking over. None. They openly admitted that in public. Twice, on 2 occasions. One was the AOC, and the other time was who brought it up that he was going against Trump? I forgot, the general or something. So twice they admitted that.
I was reading a speech by Abraham Lincoln from 1838. And I swear, if he didn't talk in that old language, you would think he's describing exactly what we're doing today. He was talking about the unruly mob, the loss of law and order, no accountability, mob rule. And it's clear that he set his mind then that he wanted to preserve the nation, the Union. But he was saying that the way to get there would be create more adherence and reverence for the law and order. And so I just think it's very interesting that we've been here before and it wasn't a good outcome last time. So we might want to rethink what we're doing this time.
Yeah, we're literally recreating what caused the Civil War. It's already been done.
Oh, you know what I thought about? I think there's going to be a civil war, but it's between the militia groups and the government. And so I say, let them wear each other out. I don't like either one of them. And so when they
You want to pull a Lenin?
Huh?
You want to pull a Lenin?
Full Lennon?
Yeah, Lenin.
John Lennon?
Yeah. No, like, yeah,
the Russian Lenin?
Yeah, the Russian Lenin. That's what he did. He they were fighting, and he just like, oh, we could go take over. They're weak, and he took over the government.
Right.
Well, it wasn't him. It wasn't Lenin's idea. It was somebody else's idea, and he just convinced Lenin to do it.
But
I forgot who it was.
I'm just saying that I have no dog in that fight. Although while they're battling that out, we could be creating the world of our imagining and be ready to step up when it all falls down, because it looks unsustainable from my point of view, but I have no idea. I think
no, it's proven unsustainable. Our food supply is proven unsustainable. Our industrial system proven unsustainable. Our monetary system is unstable. It's just mainly unstable. That's its key feature. So,
well, the good news is they all need us to keep buying their stuff because we're a consumer nation.
Mhm.
And, you know, so I don't think that everything is going to collapse, but politically, it's collapsing. You had John Bolton the other day making a point about Trump and pulling a coup. And he's like, well, I was involved in 3 coups where they overthrew countries. And it's like, what if we had John Bolton on our side? Wouldn't that be odd? You know, maybe this guy's going to see Jesus or something. I don't know. But, you know, sure, I'm making light of it, but I'm very serious at the same time. We need more people like Julian Assange that are already doing this and we don't know about it. And the people that are working under these things that come out and can expose something that makes a big splash. And I think, but that's, you know, but that's not something we're putting in a proposal. So.
Well, there's,
So,
I'm not even sure what could come out that would cause a bigger splash. I can't fathom anything in my head that we don't already know about that's been made public.
yeah, so how are we gonna get the blueprint to go viral? We need to talk about a big splash. We need a big splash.
well, I'm open to suggestions because there are lots of passionate people about around these issues, right? Like you talk about Julian Assange and other whistleblowers that
Well, Bo, the best thing to do
that's
is
why there's amending the Espionage Act in here so that to say this is an espionage, and you can't be charging them with these things. You know, take those tools away to protect the whistleblowers.
Look at there, Jesse. I didn't know that was in the blueprint. I mean, I guess I did, but I forgot. They're protecting people like Julian.
Well, the way,
yeah, that's one of the best things in the blueprint. One of the better things.
the way we could make a big splash is to have Brian go on the run with his papers that we create a fake story around. And he could end up in jail for a little while, but you know how to deal with jail. You've written enough about it. But of course, I'm kidding. But I do think that there has to be something that really can pop in people's heads that can go viral, as they say. And you know, things go viral every day. There are little cats playing with each other. You know, so maybe there's something, you know, not that we're going to create, but there's got to be something that's going to help push the agenda in some way. If it's just by gathering more people, more signatures, and talking to more people, you know, that's what grassroots does. So I'm all for that.
Well, I would suggest going to different organizations and implanting it in different organizations and have the message consistent so it could be talked ad nauseum and it should spread on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've reached out to lots of organizations, and
Yeah, I know. I did it to a couple of organizations I'm into. You
right.
know,
I know you have.
it takes a while to coax them into it though.
Yeah. So as far as the social media thing, we're trying to focus on Twitter and on Reddit, both of which have their own toxic areas, but Reddit has a lot of positive communities, and a lot of people who are very thoughtful and problem solvers. So, and also a lot of people who just want to disrupt things because they recognize the system doesn't work. So yeah, so hopefully being able to tap into those resources with Reddit, and then Twitter, of course, is where things do go viral, and where the media pays attention. So if you're interested, if you're on Twitter and you want to be part of the American Union Action Team, let me know and we'll add you to the team and try and make things pop on Twitter.
It's funny. It's like Twitter and Reddit are the 2 places well, there's a lot of places I'm not familiar with, but those are 2 of them. And,
Yeah, I actively stay away from Twitter and Reddit like the plague. Except when I hop into Reddit sometimes just to dig through all the crap because there's sometimes gems in there that you won't see anywhere else, but you have to dig in deep.
So Brian, tell me about this action group that I can't even be part of on Twitter. I mean, what do you?
You're in the action group, TC.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm glad I came to the meeting to learn.
And so the idea is, is when by making comments and replies to people who have greater followings, that have, by having a number of people like these comments, to move them up in the order that people see them. So to increase their visibility that way. So to cooperate
if you
and
had,
boost the visibility of the message.
yeah, if you had like a bunch of people keep commenting, looking for a better America every time a political tweet came about that had something to do with the blueprint, I mean, that would be effective. Like,
Yes.
there's a problem, here's a solution.
Right. And likewise, when people are posting polls about congressional candidates, to have people chime in the comment that they're going to vote for the American Union endorsement.
Mhm.
And why isn't that a choice? So. those
So
are
I
the
was
ways.
looking at an old video today, and it said that on October 15th, there would be, or maybe not on October 15th, but there would be a list of candidates. The union would come up with a list of candidates to support. Is that still, we gonna do that this year?
Yeah, October 15th is the day for candidates to indicate their support on Twitter for passing the blueprint or not. So essentially, it's a roll call vote. Either they vote yes and they opt in on Twitter, or they reject it and turn it down. And then so we know where the thousand congressmen and candidates to replace them, where they all stand. And then based on that, have endorsements go out by the end of the month, depending on whether or not Congress acts in the next 10 days. So yes, so this is the opportunity for candidates in the last critical weeks of the election to either say, I want to work together to end poverty, end mass incarceration, and end the endless wars, or no, they want to keep all those things. And so that's the idea of having one national message, one national demand for all these candidates who want to win their elections. Here's an opportunity to do something positive. Doesn't require any great thinking on your part. You don't have to come up with the solutions. They're already written down for you. It's just like when you do get elected to Congress and leadership comes and hands you a big piece of legislation and says, okay, you have to pass this. You can do that same thing now. Only this time, everyone in America will have weeks and weeks to read it and discuss it and debate it and decide whether or not it's better than the status quo. It's better than what we're doing now. And if this new paradigm would build a better America. So that's the vision. That's the message that we got the next 3 months to get out there.
Hey,
And the thing is, earlier in the year, people get all excited about primaries, right? Maybe there's this candidate that's so awesome and maybe they'll win their primary and then we'll fling them into the swamp of Washington and they will clean everything up. But it doesn't work. And so at this point, people are starting to realize, look, it's going to be politics as usual. You're going to have to pick the lesser of two evils. And so hopefully they're more open to this idea of not playing that game anymore and instead putting people in policy over partisan politics.
I wanted to ask a question. Did you reach out to Jimmy Dawes and see he decided he's going to run for candidacy, for president or something?
No.
Maybe you should try reaching out to him to get him. It's a crazy candidate, but he may get a lot of exposure.
It would be, it'd be great if somebody wanted to do outreach to, people like that.
Jimmy Dore's already been, they tried to get him to run for the People's Party, I think. And he's made it clear that he's got too much baggage. He wants somebody that with his attitude to run without his baggage. But I mean, he says he's been a stand-up comedian for so many years and he's been in nightclubs entertaining drunks, and he's just said a lot of things that aren't going to be okay. And
just like every other politician.
But to get him to acknowledge us, or acknowledge the blueprint would be wonderful.
There are lots and lots of people like that. Yes. So again, we got the Twitter action group that everybody can target one celebrity or, influencer on each day and try and get on their radar. There's lots of things there's lots of options. They just need some more people.
Mo people. Jesse?
Yes. I'm
Um,
here.
What do you think about when we get these pauses like this?
Well, for one thing, I mentioned it to you before, we have 3 late night hosts and they're all liberal. And it makes you wonder, what the hell are these morons doing that are in the Republican Party? What do they watch at night? But the thing more effective is if they have a guest come on there, like Seth Rogen, and he's going to talk about his pot company, things like that. We need, hopefully, if somebody became interested in this, they might want to talk more than about their pot company.
Yeah. Let's get Brian on the Joe Rogan show. That'd be great.
Hi, guys. I gotta go.
Okay,
away from my
Nissan, thanks for
Good to see you,
showing up.
Nissan.
Your
All right.
presence is always appreciated.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks, Nissan.
I want to make a pretty video like you can make, Brian.
You can do it. I just sent Emily the link to join us.
Oh,
So,
cool. Emily's
go
cool.
for
And and here she comes. Emily, yay. Squire Emily.
What's up?
What up? I love you.
What's
You-
up?
Here
I
comes
love
the
you
fun.
too. I'm sorry I'm late. I was sick earlier today and I
Oh,
fell asleep.
yeah, I tend to do that myself. So we're kind of like open to anything right now. We've discussed things like moving the military to focus on the environment. We talked about if the Supreme Court could overthrow the whole bill if we got it passed, things like that. But we're kind of like just open right now. Do you have any questions about the blueprint, or are you very aware of it, Emily?
I'm not super aware of it, so I lack questions.
Well, it has it's 207 pages of legislation, and it has 5 sections or 5 titles, and each title has sections. And it starts with establishing justice, which is police reform, prison reform, and prosecute whatever.
Yeah.
That one too, to where they go to court reform. And then we were going to use to secure the tranquility. Promote it. Say that one, Brian. Or is it promote?
It's establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity.
Right. And it's brilliant if you have time to really look into it.
Absolutely.
See, I feel blessed because I got to edit all the videos when they did the hearing, and there was like 80 videos.
Really?
Yeah, it's a real piece of legislation. It's the real deal.
You got to be better at technology than me. I couldn't do it. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you're young. You can the world's your oyster right now. It's like,
I try, but I've got a new printer, like brand new. I still can't get it to work. I've had
no,
it. I've had
Turn
it
it
since
on. You have to
last
turn it on.
Christmas. I tried. I did. I turned it on. I followed the steps on the piece of paper, and it just won't print anything. I haven't had a need for it yet, so I'm sure when I'm like super desperate and I need to print something, it'll work. It's usually how things work out for me.
You just need a
Um,
friend to stop by and help you figure it out. Makes it easier.
Yeah, I probably will. But it's a little embarrassing to be like, hey, can you come set up this printer I've had since Christmas? Because I can't do it.
I have no shame. I ask my wife and my daughters to do everything because Brian, you don't want to hear this, but women are smarter than us. You're pretty good though, Brian. You're pretty good. And, yeah.
I've had lots of problems with my printer too. And I found that the manufacturer's websites are actually pretty good at
Yeah,
helping
that's
solve
true.
problems. So that's my recommendation.
Very true.
Like I have this old printer scanner that I've had forever, and back originally I got the software on a disk on how to make the scanning thing work. And so I haven't been able to scan anything for years and years. And I finally was able to find the driver on the manufacturer's website and make it functional.
Nice.
wow.
That's awesome.
So Emily, what kind of studies do you do? Did we talk about that? Because I wonder if it ties into anything we're studying here.
I am going to school for a bachelor's in business with a focus on management and leadership and a minor in environmental writing.
And,
I mean, a little bit, but not super. I mean, ultimately, my main goals are not extraordinary. I just want to have a comfy office job and I'm good. Like, I don't have anything extreme in mind.
what's your joys? I mean, what's your passion? What
My cats.
your what?
My cats and my
Your
friends
cats.
and
Yeah, you
yeah.
might be a veterinarian or something like that.
I actually did look into that, but I emotionally I couldn't handle not
Right,
being able to save every one of them.
right. And to see the pain of them.
Yeah. Or like if I worked at a veterinary that provided like euthanization services, I couldn't do it. There's no way. Yeah, I'm not strong enough for that. Definitely not. And medicine in general is just not something I'm interested in. My mom went into medicine, my grandma's in medicine. Um and I just don't like bodily fluids of any kind to be on me or near me that aren't mine. you know, I'll clean the litter box and all that, but outside of that,
Emily, are you on Twitter or Reddit?
I have Reddit. I don't have Twitter. I don't really use my Reddit though, but I mean, I do have it.
Okay.
I think I have a Twitter as well. I have never ever used it. Twitter's a scary place.
Yeah, there's not a lot to recommend it.
No.
Other than that's where things go viral and then, get the attention of the media and
Yeah. Eventually they make their way around to Instagram, which is what I stay on. And
yeah.
Reddit, I only ever used it for like dog photos. They have a large collection and guinea pigs, r/guinea pigs. Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
There are a lot of very unique and eclectic subreddits on that
Oh,
website.
absolutely. Absolutely. I have, do you know what Discord is?
Yes.
It's what all the young people have. I have that. I talk to all my buddies out there. I'm sorry, I did not mean to insinuate that you didn't have it. Sorry. As soon as I said that, I was like, wait, that's not what I meant by that.
It's all right.
I have it and I'm 68 years old.
Okay.
Do
See,
I
you-
use it? I'm still haven't
There you go.
read Thomas's last messages.
Right. No, like, even after the town hall on Monday, like after that, I got off that and went on Discord and was talking to my friends. That's how most of my friends at least like my online friends I've met through Discord.
Well, TC has a couple servers that I'll probably put an invite link in the chat for you.
Cool. That's awesome. I have literally 100 servers, so I'll have to sort through and get rid of some.
Which is right.
There's too many, but then I'm like, oh, I get all my emojis from this one. It's actually really sad. I've been up there for a few years and I actually have there's like 2 servers where it was for a friend, not a friend, but like a streamer, right? Like a content creator. And then they just went offline one day and never came back online, which is upsetting. So I'm like, I feel like they can't get rid of that server because I'm like, what if they come back one day? But who knows? We'll see. Also could be dead. That is a possibility.
Or they've just moved on from in their lives. Yeah, I don't have any objection to Discord. I see it as so transitory that there's not really any way to build I don't know. I just haven't seen it used in a way that builds a good community. So maybe I'm just not.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe I'm
Dude,
not
I've
using
got a
it correctly.
server up there. I've been friends with, it's called The Boys. I've been friends with my boys for 4, 5 years now. I mean, it really just depends on the person and how connected you can feel with someone never meeting them in person. But like, for example, they mostly live in like California. So like the opposite end of the world, well, not the world, but the US, our world. So it's not really realistic to be able to get pizza or something. I actually just moved to the area that I am now. Well, during COVID. So I have, like a few personal friends in the area, but most of them are from like work. Most of the school I've taken in the area at this point has been online. So I definitely get a lot of my socialization from the online friends that I've maintained versus in person.
TC, you're muted.
I wanted to ask you about that. We're at the end of the hour, but I'd like to know about the youth and how, what do you think about moving forward in the future? I mean, I know what I want my world to be like, but I wonder what you want your world to be like. Maybe I should work on that. And
at this point, it feels like I want everything to be the exact opposite of the way it's heading now. I mean, I don't read the news anymore. It's part of the reason why I don't really use Twitter, because every time I see the news, it's these cops killed this person, or there was a shooting in this place, and all these children are dead, and this is who did it, and oh, by the way, we're taking away some of your reproductive rights again. It's very what's the word? Almost doomsday-y. Like every time I look at the news or get a little news pop up on my phone, it's just something terrible. I feel like we're going completely in the wrong direction.
Okay, I hear that, and I agree with that. So when you don't watch the news and you're just in your life, how do you feel?
I guess it kind of depends. It depends on, like, for example, when I worked at the pharmacy, I definitely had a worse off feeling because, you know, like I said before, people coming in and their medications are like hundreds of dollars and they can't afford it, or it's hundreds of dollars and they can't afford it, but you know, grandma is draining her what's left of her savings and her, you know, her social security paying for her medication to stay alive. And stuff like that. So it was kind of in your face, like this is the reality for a lot of people. Um, which is, you know, part of the reason why I had to get out of that job. Working at the bank, it's a little bit less in your face, but there's definitely, you know, you still see a lot of poverty, which is really unfortunate. But it's not that it's not life or death, but it's not like, how do I say it? Oh, hold on, my mom's calling me. I'm sorry.
Okay, but that was good. And we're at the end of the hour. So we're gonna go around and wrap it up. We'll go, Jesse, you going to say something?
Well, basically, it's always nice to have been talking with all of you, and it was nice to hear her say her comments about working in the pharmacy compared to the bank. So that was interesting, and you know, I want to help push forward what we're trying to do, however I can, and I still remain optimistic.
Thank you, Jesse. That's what I was trying to see, if there was any optimism in the youth. I don't see why they would be. But the spirit reigns freely, and a lot of times people feel hopeful even in the darkest hours. So Brian, you want to say goodbye, or you want to say anything on closing?
Goodbye. Thanks for hosting. Good to see you, Jesse.
So I'm
Always a
going to stop
pleasure.
recording.
But Thomas, I'll say one thing. My